Hi, this is Melissa from Working on Calm, and I wanted to share with you another one of my favorite lessons from this week's Take 5. And what I asked readers this week was, can you be curious instead of judgmental? And what inspired this question to work on for the week was I was watching Ted Lasso a few weeks ago, and it's a great show. And there's a scene where he's playing darts in order to win over his boss. And he mentions seeing a Walt Whitman quote that he liked, which was, be curious, not judgmental. And he's using it in the scene to teach the lesson that had people gotten to know him, asked questions, been curious rather than judgmental, they would have known he was a really good dart player. And so it got me thinking. I love when I can see lessons that I'm learning on in pop culture and modern media. But it got me thinking about what I've been working on quite a bit this year in terms of mindfulness and anxiety. And in the past, and I still, do this sometimes, but in the past, really, a problem for me with my anxiety was that I would react in a way that was really resistant and judgmental towards myself. So I would start to feel anxious, maybe, tightness in my chest or a flash of acid in the stomach, and would think, why am I anxious again? From a very judgmental perspective. And when I started to catch myself doing that and then remind myself to be more open and curious, it really changed my reaction. So instead of reacting in that negative way, I've been working on getting curious and saying, why might I be anxious right now? What are some triggers that might be happening? Or did I get enough sleep last night? Have I had too much coffee? Trying to come at it from a much more investigative, curious perspective than a judgmental one. And it has helped my anxiety a lot. It helps to diffuse a lot of that negative, resistant energy that would come up for me as soon as I started to sense I was anxious. And being curious in that way can be really helpful. It's one of the big lessons that I've been learning as I've been trying to become more mindful of my thoughts and my actions and behaviors and sort of the loops that I get into. It's also a much more compassionate way to approach ourselves, to be curious, like why did I do that? Or why do I think this way? Or why do I continue to engage in this bad habit? It helps us to be open to learning about ourselves, to exploring some other alternatives rather than saying, judging ourselves or being harsh and critical with ourselves. So it's really helpful in that way. Also, something that I talked about in the blog and have posted about is a technique called RAIN. And it's a way to be more mindful. And so the I in RAIN stands for investigate. And the idea here is that when you're trying to be more mindful, you want to first recognize what's going on, acknowledge it, and then start to investigate it. And the way you do that is to approach your life or your thoughts or your behavior, whatever it is, from a much more curious perspective. So as if you were an unbiased observer or a researcher trying to collect information and you want to note what is going on. So, when you're anxious, you can do this. You can think, okay, heart is racing, chest is tight. And so you start to note things and be curious about what's happening inside your body in a way that's not judgmental, like, my heart is racing. Oh my God, there's that tightness in my chest. Oh God, I'm so anxious right now. And it's almost the same exact words. But the tone of voice and from where you're approaching it really changes. And it sounds very subtle. And I understand if you're a little skeptical, but I would challenge you to try it this week. Try to be curious with your anxiety or anything else in your life rather than judgmental and see how it goes. If you like this sort of thing and are interested in mindfulness in real life or dealing with anxiety, ways to cope, then I would love to have you join the Working on Calm community. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at workingoncalm.com or on the website blog as well. And I'd love to have you sign up for future Take 5 newsletters. It includes 5 things to reflect on, work on, inspire you to live a calmer life, whether that's starting to integrate mindfulness into your life or tips and techniques for dealing with the anxiety, whatever it might be. I'd love to have you join. Thanks.